So I think I will start this session. So this session is talking about BTCON and OPCAT. And the reason that we specifically talk about that is that so thing about this is that Ethereum is this such a big thing because it have the EVM. And it have programmability, that's what enabled DeFi and many other applications, even today as rollup. Bitcoin always have been a very simple blockchain that doesn't have much of the programmability. And BTCON, OPCAT can have enabled that. This can change how Bitcoin works, and it might actually make a lot of the new advancement, a lot of the new application there. And today, this session is mostly to kind of share with you what is happening on the front of the BTCON and OPCAT, and we have basically all the team that are working on this here right now in this panel. And to start with, I will very briefly introduce what is BTCON and what is OPCAT. BTCON is a technology that uses the Bitcoin script to kind of do verify program on the Bitcoin. So if the BTCON runs some program and there is any problem, people can kind of use optimistic proof, optimistic verification to kind of verify that. And that can enable programmability on Bitcoin. And another one is OPCAT, which can introduce something called covenant in the Bitcoin, which can also be used to build a lot of the application. And so I think now I will firstly go to the panelists. I will have each one of you introduce what is the project that you are working on, and that I also give a brief introduction about your project. I will start with you.
All right, so I'm Alexei. I just had a 10-minute introduction, so I'll keep it very short. We're building a hybrid layer 2 that connects to both Bitcoin, Ethereum, and in the future other networks. And of course, BitVM or OPCAT, we'll see, is of course at the centerpiece, because that is what enables us to really have Bitcoin security and trust minimize Bitcoin deposits.
Hello, everyone. 안녕하세요. I'm Yovela. I'm the co-founder of Fiamma. So basically, we are the first ZK Pro verification layer on Bitcoin implementing BitVM 2. We are trying to build a Bitcoin security teleport so that we can really, enable all kind of use cases on Bitcoin and beyond Bitcoin as well. It includes trustless Bitcoin bridge, layer 2 app chains on Bitcoin.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yago. I'm working on a project called BitcoinOS. There's a huge number of projects that are interested in developing systems which would allow for compute and scalability on Bitcoin. And the conversation we're going to have is how we can utilize verification of ZK proofs and verification of that compute utilizing BitVM-like systems. About a month ago, we introduced the first of this kind, and what we're building is a platform to make it really easy for developers to utilize compute, utilizing BitVM and bridging on Bitcoin.
Hi, everybody. This is Charlie from Bitlayer. Bitlayer, we started as a research group last November, kind of in between of the ordinal space, and kind of work on some research with DLC as well. We launched a mainnet V1 a couple months ago, learned a lot by building ecosystem, actually deep dive on a lot of product market fit and go-to-market strategy. On BTCON 1, BTCON 2 active contributor, we win multiple commits on the BTCON communities, working on Bitcoin verification layer. We're going to launch the Bitcoin-friendly stock approach later this month. Pretty interesting ecosystem. We combine a lot of the learning process and experience with the Ethereum world, together with many other kind of new builders in the Bitcoin ecosystem, together with the ordinals, all the kind of asset protocols in the layer 1 side. We were actually cultivating a very interesting culture and ecosystem at this moment.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hanzhi. I'm a co-founder of Nubit. And at Nubit, we have built the first Bitcoin native DA layer. And now we are pioneering the next generation consumer network powered by Bitcoin that bridges Web 2 and Web 3.
I think we will start with the first question is that so it's more talking about how BTCON, how do you use the BTCON OPCAT in your specific project, how it enable. I will start with you.
So for us, there's two things that we want to achieve is Bitcoin security and depositing Bitcoin into the L2, and then so users can always get them out. And for us, from our perspective, BitVM and OPCATs are achieving, or tools towards achieving the same goal in different ways. OPCAT, if we get it, great, it needs a fork, we'll see if it happens, but it allows us to potentially even do this verification fully on-chain or make the optimistic proofs more efficient. BitVM, we know, works today and gives us the same thing. We can at least definitely build a bridge With doing full rollups, well, there's a question of data availability. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Still quite expensive, but works, feasible, and gives us like something similar to ETH rollup. So that's essentially the centerpiece for us.
Got it. Basically, it have enabled a lot of the things already work in this model. I will also go to like Charlie, because Bitlayer team have been working on BitVM very early on.
Yeah, well, I think the goes to the vision first, right? I think the future of Bitcoin should be, Bitcoin finality with layer 1 verification, state transition verified back to Bitcoin layer 1 with Bitcoin security. And data availability is a very important thing. Once we have a lot of, DeFi, all kinds of protocols, the cost, is very important. And another challenge and topic to talk about. We use Bitcoin layer 1 as DA, but all kinds of Bitcoin aligned DA is important as well. And a third important thing is trust minimized bridging, right? The existing status quo is a bunch of sidechain with multi-sig. It's not a status quo. The BVM 1 is multiple scenario, but with fraud proof approach, BVM 2 is more simpler on the bridging side. And I think there's multiple new iterations we're working on, try to lower down the cost on the batched proofs. There's two routes on the ZK. One is ZK stock, and one is ZK stock. We're more working on the ZK stock approach on that part.
Okay, I will go to the second question, and this is more about the development of the BBM because it has been about 1 year, and there have been actually so many companies that are working on BBM right now. So I will actually have this question to go to BitcoinOS and Fiamma because that in the last month you actually announced that you have successfully run BBM on Bitcoin mainnet. So I want you to kind of share with everyone what is kind of firstly, is that how do you feel about that? And second is that now that it's running on the mainnet, what is your plans on that? I will start with Edan.
Sure. So we actually don't utilize BitVM. BitVM, as it was originally published, I think everyone agreed that it wasn't feasible. And so two alternatives were developed. One is what's known as BitVM 2, and the other is BitSnark. And we utilize BitSnark, which is a highly optimized system. It's much faster in terms of the ability to do proving. It's much cheaper in terms of its on-chain footprint, and it's a much simpler protocol, and so it's much easier to audit and maintain secure. And so last month, for the first time ever, we were able to confirm the ability to verify ZK proofs on Bitcoin mainnet. We've since published the ability for other people to verify those kinds of proofs themselves, and we will soon be providing as open source a toolkit for developers to begin doing it themselves. And then on top of that, there's a huge amount of development that can still happen. Obviously, we've already spoken about bridges, which I think is like the holy grail, right? On top of this technology, we'll be able to, for the first time ever, have truly trustless bridging for BTC, and that's going to change the entire landscape of Bitcoin, of crypto, and of Bitcoin layer 2 rollups.
I remember I remember that BitcoinOS have a domain-specific language called Rio, or is that a bridge? Is that coming from the world? You have a bridge implementation, right?
So we will be introducing an open source bridge implementation as well, but there's no specific language that you need to use.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think I will ask also from Fiamma, because Fiamma also recently announced there are some progress. I think you bring the cost of BVM down, that would be actually about 8 times from February this year. So I want you to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Basically, we've already implemented the full challenge process of BitVM2 on both Signet, which is the Bitcoin testnet, and also mainnet as well. And we know that because we manually fragment the ZK script, so basically the cost could go from a couple of dollars to a couple hundreds of dollars. But we have a way to put the basically put the data somewhere. So basically in the future, then the several dollars of challenge cost is feasible. But there's definitely a trade-off between the trust assumption and also as well. I think that's basically it, and we further bring down the script size of ZKP verifier to below 1 gigabytes. So now for Flonk, it's only 0.875 gigabytes, and for Gross 16, it's around 1.3. So we do think that BitVM2 and together with our DKP verification layer on top of it, it would really democratize Bitcoin security for every use cases, no matter DK rollups, DK bridges, or like more frequent interaction scenario like interoperability layer or gaming, etc.
I probably will also ask one question. Like basically that, like because your team have made so much progress in the short amount of time, what is kind of the next step that your team are thinking?
For the next step, I think basically definitely keep optimizing the script size. Definitely is the focus. And the second is that we would also focus on some immediate use cases. Like one of the immediate, like really highly demanded use case is the trusted Bitcoin bridge, and we're working really closely on it. Yeah.
Got it. And how about like BitcoinOS? Like it has been about 1 month since your announcement.
Sure. So I think one key use case here is trustless bridging. The second is the ability to verify the transactions and the ZK proofs generated by Bitcoin rollups. And so we're currently partnering with a number of projects to be able to turn what would potentially just be, side chains into actual Bitcoin rollups, which are secured by Bitcoin, have trustless Bitcoin bridging, and interoperability amongst themselves.
Got it. So, like, I think one thing that now we can talk about is that, like, now that Bitcoin is, like, BTCON is already verified on the mainnet, what are some applications? What is the impact to the ecosystem? And I think I will start with, like, the project that is more doing on the, like, data availability and Rust side, which might be actually a big user of the, like, BTCON. So, like, Hanzhi from, like Nubit, you can kind of talk a little bit about how do you kind of know about BTCON and how do you think it can be very helpful to your project?
Yes, so basically with BitVM, all the layer 2 projects, they can basically prove DA attestation directly on Bitcoin. So basically it means they can trustlessly use our services, our DA services, to reduce their transaction costs. So that's how like BitVM, we can use BitVM. And another part is that with BitVM, we can have like snark verifier directly on Bitcoin. So basically we can deploy the light clients of like Nubit or other like chains on BitVM, on Bitcoin, and this like trusted bridge and other like state attestation and proofs can be happening directly on Bitcoin.
Got it. Like bridge is everyone talk about bridge, but I think now I will also like go this question too because I know that like Alexei and like Charlie, you guys have been working on this like on the Bitcoin ecosystem and have like the product for a very long time. I think you have already started to do like community, developer community and so on. What do you see as some exciting application of the like Bitcoin? I will start with like Charlie.
Yeah, I think we are talking about Bitcoin DeFi. So the main pillar of DeFi, that's on the application layer. We start from the building blocks, right? Do you have stable coins, right? Do you have really good trading, programmable, trustless, trading platforms across spot, perp dexes, options? Those are very important things. The whole DeFi summer from 2020, we learned a lot about all these kind of application layer and achieving, very good UX with this kind of account abstraction, wallets integration. Now this cycle we have Telegram bots with access to millions of users. I think we're in the tipping point of getting on application layer seamless access to a lot of user base, giving them all this suite of products of DEXs, trading products with Bitcoin finality, right? That's kind of the end game we were looking at, right? Of course, a lot of things are kind of in the working process. We heard a lot of complaint on the UX UI side on the wallets, especially on the Telegram side. We a lot of ideas to jam with that. And stablecoin is a big missing piece in the ecosystem. All these US-backed and also CDP model of stablecoin, some of them still early stage. The liquidity depth is still very early and small. And I think a lot of the consumer-facing applications is getting more and more interesting. Bitcoin has a unique culture. A lot of the layer 1 guys now talking with all the layers and the meta protocols to figuring out multiple different kind of indexers, different type of asset protocols to bridge over to our layer 2s and our different ecosystem and tap into staking, all kinds of yield opportunities. So it's at the end of the day for users with different risk appetite, they can tap into different rewards, different yield products, and as use cases. Yeah.
Got it. I will also ask Alice because Bill Bob is actually a project that people have already been familiar of because I think you get a lot of the popularity already in last year, right? So I also want you to talk about what do you see from the community.
So, I mean, our focus has been on two things. On one hand, of course, pushing the boundaries of BitVM, making sure that it's practical, working on the bridge side, and we now have a blueprint of how exactly to build it with Fiamma and BitcoinOS. We have already progress on the implementation side, but there's also a lot of things to do on UX. So things that we've been working on and tooling we've provided to builders is account abstraction. So we allow you to send Bitcoin and stablecoins to people without them having a wallet before. And we work with some of the leading teams on Ethereum like Dynamic to make this happen. And it's super easy to do because we have a lot of this infrastructure coming in from Ethereum because, again, Bob is positioned as a hybrid. At the same time, and this is something I can't announce too much yet, we're not making a big announcement on Token 2049, we've been doing a lot on the Bitcoin staking side. So while Bob does not try to compete with offering its own staking solution, we work very closely with Bitcoin staking products, LSTs, and also tokenized deal strategies, and making it super easy for users and funds to deploy directly from the Bitcoin within one transaction and hiding all the complexity. And in terms of use cases, what do we see? Well, of course, I mean, we can talk about fancy things. We can talk about, oh, what's the next big thing that will happen on Bitcoin once we have ropes. But realistically, the job of L2s today in the next 1 or 2 months is to level the playing field, right? Today, you can do the same things on Bob that you can do on Ethereum, but with Bitcoin. And more, because now you start seeing LSTs for Bitcoin, things that Ethereum has had, and we're speed running. And once we hit the same levels, then hopefully, when new startups come in, and we have a lot of new teams working on exciting new things between Bitcoin and L2s, then they will emerge. And that, I think, is a big opportunity for Layer 2s. It's not just, promise, oh, we're going to have super crazy new use cases on Bitcoin now. It's, well, look, we can do the same thing as Ethereum, but Bitcoin as the asset, as an ecosystem, is so much more powerful and so much bigger. You have an entire global community that has been prepared for years by also maxis, right, that we're selling them Lightning, but Lightning is not a good product. Bitcoin L2s offer a good product, and that's where we will see institutions, companies, cross-border payments actually switch and use Bitcoin Layer 2s because it's easier to sell. They know Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a brand like no other network. Like if you think of Apple, Apple spent billions of dollars, so when you see the Apple logo, you know what it is. Bitcoin already has that.
Yeah, and actually that kind of coming to one good point is that so I think we will end this panel with everyone except you because you've already talked about the vision. I will ask about what do you think about what will happen next year. The reason I'm asking this is very simple is that you can see this is kind of the year one of kind of all this Bitcoin programmability, right? Think about what happened on Ethereum. Think about those years. You have DeFi summer after that. You later have ZK Infra summer and so on. So that is actually a bright future ahead of us. I want each one of you just to say a few words about what do you think we probably will meet here again next year, right? So I will start with you.
Yeah, I would think that we would really turn Bitcoin into the foundational layer of the future decentralized internet and also a financial system. So which means that we will also for Bitcoin holders, you will have omni-chain, sustainable yields. And then for other ecosystem as well, you could have, if you could tap into this immense capital potential and security from Bitcoin.
We call the project BitcoinOS because what Bitcoin can be is an operating system for our digital future, a system designed for freedom and for prosperity, and a system which knows no borders. We've been talking for a long time about Bitcoin as an alternative financial system, but right now it's not even an alternative currency, because for it to become a currency, it needs to have an economy. And so over the next few years, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building an economy around Bitcoin. That economy actually already exists. It's called crypto. Right now, it's just on all kinds of other chains, but that's going to change. We now have the full capability of compute on Bitcoin. We're going to see a migration of the users, the dApps, the liquidity, and the innovation and the mind share back home to Bitcoin. And that's the first stage. The second stage is
we don't have that much time.
The second stage is we're going to build from there a fully parallel financial system, not just for crypto, but for the world. So, like you said, Bitcoin is going to be the center of our digital future.
I try to make it simple and sweet. More trustless programmable environment around Bitcoin layers. The infrastructure allow more activation about liquidity and log, and also more use case. With Bitcoin finality, Bitcoin will become more programmable with access to more people's mindshare, including the institutions. We just had the ETF approval. We're just getting a lot of the institutions getting more and more real interest. Companies talking about Bitcoin strategy, just like 2021, people talking about metaverse. And it's going to happen more and more in the next upcoming years.
So let's just imagine a world where like BitVM is already live on mainnet. So we have trustless bridge, we have trustless like snark verifier, and what's the missing part, right? The consumer. So we at Nubit begin with the Bitcoin DA. We are building the next generation consumer network to tackle this problem. We'll try to bridge the Web 2 and Web 3 to onboard the next million consumer applications and developers.
Yeah, so I think I will conclude this panel, and there is a lot of the exciting progress on the BBM OP tab. A few months later, I think there is a lot of the exciting new development. I want to thank the audience and also thank our panelists. And later today, there will also be a few technical sessions that we will also talk about related technology. Okay.